Hello and welcome to the first video of the complete intro to SQL and Postgres. So the whole idea of this series of videos is that act as a way to now I'm doing the work. In other words, as a social proof of work, or in this case, of learning. So this course is taught by Brian Holt. All right, here now the actual PN of snowflakes. So let me actually put it here. Uh, I don't want to receive any strike on YouTube, and because of that, I'm not going to show the course. I actually receive a strike from that. I receive even a LinkedIn uh, message from their legal firm when they tell me, hey, you shouldn't publish the course, keep it private, or otherwise we have to now go with YouTube and that kind of thing. So as a way to prevent that, I'm not going to show is the entire course. The idea here is that this series of videos act as a way to now take notes and also speak about the topic, find a ways to actually make sense when it comes to explain complex ideas. So you use real life examples and that kind of thing. So because right now here we already made the introduction early. So Brandon, you'll find all of this course here, which is free and available for forever. All right, which is something that is great. You can find this complete intro to SQL, especially with Postgres. Okay, in this intro, he described more about that if you, for example, wants to review the course later on, or if you fall behind because this course sh- is it's showing on live, it's a live event, or you might want to share that with your friends. So this is the way of how you can find this particular course. So I'm gonna left this link here, which is that. And well, SQL is not a programming language, although you can turn it into a programming language. And there is an incredibly amount of depth in this course, which is exactly what I wanted. Okay, so this seems kind of for for many people, this make things, yeah, for people this approach, or for many people this makes, or this can make it seems right, or this seems a little bit unapproachable, learning SQL, right? Or learning a new programming language. But the reality of here in this course is that you can benefit from almost every SQL, or you can get almost the benefit of SQL with a very small subset of knowledge. And this is something that is highly in demand because it's covering is the vast majority of use case. So you don't need to actually learn a tool in depth from scratch, all right, as a way to keep up the pace. And that's interesting. Uh, Something that we're gonna take a look at why we choose Postgres. But the idea here is that the reality is that you can get the amount, uh, you can get almost all the benefit with SQL with a very small set of, with a very small subset of knowledge. That's exactly what we want. We want to now cover to make we want to cover is the Pareto principle, right? Which is 20% of the effort to get 80% of the result. That's the idea here. And this course is not for people that have decades in the industry, okay, because they can do wild things in that. So this course is not about things like replicate or yeah, replicate, deploy. Yeah, it's interesting. You can deploy as yourself. How this database actually, how you can use this database on the internet, right? Someone have to deploy that. That's right. It replicate. Uh, so here we're not talking about is replicate, deploy, or administration, right? Manage Postgres instance. But in this course, we're gonna take now is for the uh, developer perspective. Is that how we're going to interact with this? So here we're gonna see is how we can create models, create tables in, with queries, and the techniques that we're gonna learn, which is something that he doesn't mention, but this is the technique that we're gonna learn pretty much when you hit the gym. And at the beginning, if the instructor is someone that is good, he will recommend you vastly to start with the techniques. Okay, so the techniques, and this is something that I want to learn here, is that first, how to set up your database using Docker. Okay, how to set up your first database and tables. How to think, very very important. First, how to set up your database and tables, relational database. How to think this particular model, this mental model, how to think about data going into tables. All right. So how you're going to populate the data into the table. So how to think is yeah, how to think about data going into your table. How you're going to populate. How they're going to fill in, right? Best ways to query your data for your applications. Something that is crucial here. Okay, best way to query your data for your applications here, and the other is that how to identify and optimize low query. This, my friend, is what causes the most downtime for a lot of company out there, especially when you're writing queries. If you now dedicate your time as a backend developer, okay, which is something that you end up being in that aspect, right? Perhaps you can start as a front end and then you jump into the backend, and then now you can interact a little bit with the DevOps, the database, and how you deploy that. All right. But the idea here is that once you're able to solidify your knowledge, okay, on the client, remember, by building web applications and understanding is the fundamental of the internet. How is this internet works? The architecture of the internet, which is the client-server relationship, how you can access to that through domains as well as a port. Okay, so once you understand these fundamentals, uh, now you can start to work on the front end as well as the back end. All right, as a way to slowly gain yourself expertise in that domain. And if you want to, which is something that I really recommend, that move on to another domain, which is complement that your domain. So now you have a more a bigger approach, and that's something that is very very valuable, especially for uh, product owners or product managers. Okay, where they now have to make all of this complexity, technical complexity, meaningful for the shareholders or for non-technical people. All right, and that's where the value of these things comes uh, here. Okay, how you all from the all of the things that you have learned so far, how you can make this meaningful for me. All right, pretty much in the same relation when you hire a nutritionist or a personal trainer. All right, it's like I want you to make it much more digestible, my friend. Very, very digestible. This is like, please, please do that for me. So yeah, so here we're gonna learn this technique. Is that how to set up a database and tables, how to how data or how to think yeah, how to think about data going into tables, how they feeling in here. The best way to write or the best way to query your data for your application, important. Okay, how to identify problematic or slow, yeah, how to identify and optimize slow query. All right, that's this is a particular technique here. How to identify a improve slow queries and how to connect your SQL queries with Node.js, which is something is using is an ORM. But this for I'm quite familiar with this, right? How to set up your first database using Docker. I don't have any problem with that. And the other is the tables. Okay. But the other is these three key aspects. They are very, very, very important. Oh my God. Is that what actually business are looking for? Is what actually, and by business I mean people that build their business, okay, is what actually is looking for. Hey, can you provide me this in no time? Okay, especially when I want to know more about this data. How can you now query the data for certain things? Okay, so yeah, so this introduction to SQL and Postgres specifically. We're gonna dive deep into this. There is also another course which is the Intro to Database, which is a more holistic overview of which type of database you should choose depending on your problem. Okay, that seems like a very very interesting knowledge. Totally. And then we look at the setup, SQL setup with Docker. I think, yeah. All right. Setup SQL with Docker. That's right. Okay. So the idea here is that this setup is something that we're gonna follow along. We're gonna follow all of this step by step to get them running, to get it, to get it. Yeah, we're gonna follow this step by step. Okay. When this course was published, all right, a year ago. Oh my God. No, wait, is this okay? Okay, almost 2 years ago. All right. Okay. So if you're able to learn this, now you're going to keep up the pace of the mass majority of it. Okay. So this is something that I'm going to use as a way to publish in my video. Okay. About how to learn these kind of techniques, and a lot of them are how. Okay. How to set up your first database and tables, and then how to think about data, how to think, yeah, how to think about data going into the tables, and then how to write a query, yeah, how to write, how to, or the best way to write your query, or the best way to query your data for your application. No, is this the best way to query your data for your application, and then how you identify and improve slow queries, and ultimately connect that to the Node.js. Okay, how you can connect that with them. So this I think is something that is very very interesting, because now we're gonna do all of this lower base or lower level interactions with that Postgres instance, with a Postgres server. That's interesting. That's very, very, very interesting. So the idea of this is that the setup here will help you to follow step by step, get it up and running. Here, as you can see here, is this. We actually do this. We're gonna need is two containers. First is the Postgres 14, and then the container that Brian Hall actually created and published on the Docker Hub, which is a repo of containers. If you don't know what Docker is, or container is, or image is, the subtle difference between the image and the container is that you can think of this as an ingredients in order to prepare you a meal, right? So when you go to a restaurant, uh, the image is all this ingredient needed, okay, to prepare your meal, the recipe, all right, which is all of this library and dependency that it needs to actually before you can run that. Uh, and then you have is the container, which is actually the environment of this mini OS that will run your application inside of that. So that or in the case of the real life example, so the container is now the dish already prepared and served to your table. Okay, I think this is something good, totally good, very 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 important. The so this database or this containers contains two databases. First is the Open Movie database, uh, as well as the Recipe Guru database. So this is a dump, and when they say dump, very very important here. When they say dump, is is this place of all of this data, right? Or this database, right? This is the dump of the database for us to play around. This is based on this setup script by Create Dative. Uh, Shout out to you, man. If you ever break anything, just shut out the container and restart it. So this is just the introduction of this particular course, okay? And I think this is something very, very important every time to uh, getting into a new section along their way through the different models. Why? Because this will now refresh why you are here. you know, Something very, very, very important. If you can think of the driver and the navigator on rallies, right? So rallies, Rally Dakar. I think it is Rally Dakar. Uh, Rally Dakar here. Um, but I think Rally Dakar, navigator and driver. Okay, exactly. But I think Dakar is alone. What is the rally, rally navigator and driver? Rally code driver. But that is on the WRC. WRC. What stands for? Okay. Oh my God, that's right. World World Rea- World Real World Rally Cup and World Rally Championship. I think that's quite interesting, by the way. Yeah. Toyota. Okay. Since 1973. That's interesting. That's very, very interesting. I didn't know about this. Okay. WRC. Holy moly, man. Oh my God. I didn't know that this is the name of this. I know about that. I know about that, but I didn't know that this is the, the name. La W12 in Spanish. Man, this website's freaking slow, bro. What the hell is this, WordPress? Oh, I think they're deploying this. I think they oh shit. I think they're deploying is this. The develop the on development mode. Anyway, no, exactly. So the rally for the, that's right. Data communications. Holy moly, this is a consulting company in India. Headquarters in India, by the way. Yeah, headquarters in India. Holy moly, data communications. Holy fudging. Yeah, but this is an Indian telecommunications company. Yeah, yeah. It's an India telecommunication company. Similar companies of telecommunication here. Uh, Tata, Tata Communications. What next? Yeah, is Tata Communications. Mm-hmm. Tata Communications here. But the idea of looking at this is just as a way to now look at the relationship between the the way of how you learn things here, the database here, the rally in the navigator, and it was because uh, it was because um mm, 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 mm. Well, I bring here, I bring here the WRC uh, just to highlight the importance of pair programming. Was one of them pair programming in when you're learning something exactly, and when learning exists exactly when learning. Yeah, that's the reason why I bring here. So learn learn a topic similar with the yeah learn a topic similar with the driver navigator relationship. So learn a topic similar with exactly learn a topic similar with the driver navigator relationship from the World Rally Cup. First, as a driver, you will learn by doing. Yeah, as a driver, you will learn you will learn by doing. As a navigator, you will you will discover, okay? Yeah, as a navigator, you'll strategize. Yeah, you'll strategize. As a navigator, you'll strategize. Yeah. hmm And as a navigator, you will strategize your vision. Exactly. And as a navigator, you will strategize by doing, or you are visualize. Yeah, you will strategize by doing. That's the idea here. Is that as a driver, you will learn by doing, and as a navigator, you will strategize by doing. And I think this is something that I'm going to put. Uh, yeah, this is also part of the thing. That's one of the reasons why it is important to make this clarification, right? Come on, the flying fudge here. Digital economy here. Yeah, okay. Digital. Oh my god, enough. Digital economy. Mm, okay, that's right. Okay. So yeah, I have all of this writing here. Da, da, da. It's like learn and strategy. So you will learn pretty much like them. Learn, learn like navigator, driver relationship from WRC, man, which is the rally cup and all this. As a navigator, hmm as a navigator, as a as a driver, you learn you learn by doing. As a navigator, you learn by mhm. As a driver, you learn by doing. As a navigator, you you will strategize by doing. But that's the idea here. So, so that's something interesting. So now I can finally move on here, which is now explaining that what we're gonna have here in this container. Okay, after we set up the database, this contains two databases. One of them is the Open Movie database, uh, and the other is Recipe Guru database. This is the dump of the database for us to play around with. And this is based on this setup with this. So yeah, get running. Do note, these containers are quite large. So here we're explaining is a little bit of Docker. And here, how you first need to, as a way to use Docker, you need to install Docker. I already installed that. And then you have to pull that image, okay, which is contains all of these ingredients, this recipe for you, or in this case, it contains yeah, the image, because when you do this, when you say docker pull, right, it actually is the image, which is that docker image or docker pull, just like that. You're pulling all of this recipe, all of this ingredient, all of the necessary library that it needs to. Now, after that, create is uh, your dish, or in this case, the mhm, to create your dish, which is the container. And how do we create our dish? Is by running our image, is by actually constructing that image, is by creating the container. So how do we do that? You may wonder, right? Which is something that I actually put here. This is how do we pull that image from there. Here is when we are now saying is this particular instructions, which is telling, hey Docker, I want you to run this environment variable, which is something that this image needs by default, is required. Postgres passport with LOL. You shouldn't use that in your production database, but in any case, followed by name, which is the name what we're gonna use to easily reverse this. PG, we're gonna use also the rm, which we're telling, hey, after the log, after we run this instance, I want to clean up the logs, and I want to detach that, run this on this particular port, okay, which is the internal port of the Docker instance, and then the external port that it exposed to that. And I want now you to use is the Postgres image version 14. Okay, so as I mentioned before, there is a couple of things that is going on behind the scenes, because this command will be run in the background. So we already know what is the difference between the image and the container. Okay, so image is the recipe of your ingredient. For in the case of a restaurant, is image is the uh, ingredients for your recipe. You already have that, and the container is your dish already made. Okay, your dish ready. Uh, yep, is the dish already prepared. And the other is foreground and background. What is it? What is foreground and background in the context of this? So foreground, for example, is when you can see the log of your Docker instance, and the background is when you're not. Pretty much. And here we also look at some technique or some command to make us dangerous with Docker. One of them is pns, and the other is kill. Kill will restore your server from scratch, so it will drop all of your change. You have to be careful with that. And the third step, which is, let me pull here. Let me actually do this. First, pull the image. Right. First, pull the image. Second, uh, tell Docker to run the image. The image is like a backpack. No, here. Okay, and then step three is like actually is tell Docker to get into the container, which is this. Hey Docker, I want you to run this bash command inside of this, or I want you to run this bash command, okay, with the username Postgres, make it interactive for the container PG, and this is the command that I want you to actually run. That is very, very interesting and also enlightening. Okay, okay, that was quite interesting, quite good, by the way. So if we move on now to the next section, which is database and tables. Okay, which is database and tables. Let me actually put that here, which is databases, and tables, right? Yep, that's right. Yep, you got this. Databases and tables. Exactly. Databases and tables. Okay, so let's do it. Let's do it. So right now you're not able to see what I'm gonna see. Again, remember, I don't want to receive any strike here. That's one of the reasons why I'm doing this. So that's great. So SQL overview, creating a database. I think this section is something that I'm quite familiar with. Yeah, I might be quite familiar with. What the hell is in this? close a lot of these things that I don't need to. So wait, because I don't want to get lost in the translation. Okay, okay, okay. Yeah, I don't want to get lost in the translation here. Okay, there you got it. All of this. Okay, 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 okay. Okay, I need to move on fast, bro. Yep. Okay, cool, cool, cool. All right. Yep, here we are. All right. Mm, mm, That's a very interesting question that someone actually asked. Okay, that's a very, very, very valid question. Okay, that's a very goddamn valid question here. All right. Uh, I'm gonna make this. I'm gonna wrap this video for now. Before moving to the database and tables. So with that, that'll be all for this video. Take care. Bye bye.